On my 22nd birthday, my master kicked me down the mountain with 9 marriage contracts in my pocket that could change my destiny. My master said each of them was wealthy enough to rival a nation, just waiting for me to marry into their families. But I already had someone in my heart, so I vowed to cancel the contracts and pursue true love. However, the journey down the mountain was fraught with danger. I had just hitched a ride in a red BMW when I encountered a carefully orchestrated drugging plot and a band of hitmen who tried to kill me along the way. What they demanded was a beauty formula that could mean life or death. When I woke up from the coma, staring at the 2 stunningly beautiful women who were still in shock, I knew my peaceful days were over. What shocked me even more was that the aloof female CEO, upon seeing my marriage contract, turned pale instantly. Ew, are really Yuching's fiancé? My name is Su Mu, and I'm 22 years old. Just now, in that shabby little courtyard on Chingsong Mountain, I spent the most eventful birthday of my life. No cake, no candles. Only a plastic bag handed to me by my master Yi Wuchen, containing 9 yellowed pieces of paper marriage contracts. Yes, you heard that right. 9 of them, all signed by me. The Grand Master stroked his sparse beard, grinning like a sly old fox. Su Mu, you've been on the mountain for 18 years. You've mastered everything your foster mothers taught you, even surpassing them. But I'm worried you won't find a wife. These girls are all childhood betrothals we arranged during our travels. Their families owe us a debt of gratitude. They won't ask for a bride price and will even give you a fortune. Go down the mountain and find them. I held those 9 marriage contracts, light as paper but heavy as 1,000 pounds. My mind was in turmoil. Master, you can doubt my strength, but not my charm. I puffed out my chest and narcissistically flipped my hair. I am Su Mu, elegant and handsome, known as the jade-faced little flying dragon. As if I'd lack women. Yu Wuchen shot me a glance. He coldly spat out one word. Poor. That single word pierced my heart like a sword. Indeed, on the mountain, all I did was cultivate, eat, and drink. My pockets were emptier than my face. But poor as I was, I had principles. There was already someone in my heart. Tang Yun. 3 years ago, she came up the mountain to treat her illness. I administered acupuncture and prepared her medicine, tending to her day and night. We had already pledged ourselves to each other in secret. No problem. You can marry all of them. Second master, Yi Zi, the woman known as the King of Yama in the assassin world, said indifferently while munching on an apple. At that moment, the usually silent first master suddenly had a wild idea. Pointing at the other 3 masters' wives, he asked, Yi Zi, since I can marry all of them, can I marry the 3 of you too? The air froze for a second. What did you say? Yi Zi narrowed her eyes, crushing the apple core in her hand into powder. Sisters, beat him up. With that command, the 3 originally graceful masters' wives instantly turned into demons. They launched a joint beating on the first master, his screams echoing through Chingsong Mountain. Used to such chaos, I grabbed a couple of clothes, tucked the 9 scorching marriage certificates into my pocket, and bolted down the mountain in the confusion. If I didn't leave, the flames of war would engulf me too. The first master couldn't even handle 3 women, but he wanted me to marry 9? That would be like poking a hole through the sky. My plan was simple. First head to Jiangxing City to find my 2 fiancés living there, Xia Yuqing and Lu Shuyan. Call off the engagements, then track them down one by one, cancel them all, and finally return to marry Tang Yin. But as soon as I reached the foot of the mountain, I hit a harsh reality. No money. I'd rushed down too fast and left my cash behind. Going back for it? No joke if I went back now. I'd definitely get pummeled as a punching bag. Just as I stood by the road worrying, a red BMW sped toward me. Without a second thought, I jumped straight into the middle of the road, spreading my arms to stop the car. A screech of brakes tore through the air, and the car stopped 2 meters away from me. The window rolled down, revealing an angry face. It was a beautiful woman in her 20s, with large chestnut curls and lively eyes, but they were blazing with fury. Do you want to die? Can't you see the car? She shouted. I gave her an apologetic smile. Sorry, miss. I'm heading to Jiangxing City. Can I hitch a ride? No. Get lost, she said bluntly. I took a closer look at her face and frowned slightly. Miss, I see a red glow flickering between your brows and a dark shadow on your forehead. I'm afraid you're in for some bloody trouble today. If you give me a ride, I can help you crack it for free. You're the one who will end up in a bloody disaster, your whole family will. She was so furious she nearly jumped out. Get lost now, or I'll run you over. Just then, a cool voice came from the back seat. Fei, stop arguing. Let him in. We need to hurry. The driver, a beauty named Wumeng Fei, turned to look at the back seat and complained, Sister ya, this is the middle of nowhere, and some strange man pops up. What if he has bad intentions? The woman in the back seat said calmly, It's fine. I have pepper spray in my bag. If he dares to try anything, I'll take him down immediately. But the company is in an emergency, we can't waste time. Wumeng Fei snorted coldly. She secretly opened a can of air freshener. Only later did I learn it was a kind of powerful sedative. She shouted at me, Hey, my sister is kind enough to let you in the car. Hurry up and don't waste time. I scrambled into the passenger seat. The moment I turned around, I was stunned. A woman in her late 20s sat in the back seat, delicate features, fair skin, her loose suit unable to hide her impressive figure. More importantly, she exuded a mature charm unique to a woman. Like a perfectly ripe peach, one look at her was enough to make my head spin literally. I tilted my head, leaned back against the seat, and closed my eyes. Toxic. I sneered inwardly. Little Master here grew up in a medicine pot, with spiritual energy to boot. This low-grade knockout drug? Not even enough to tickle me. But I didn't call her out. If they wanted to play, I'd play along. I wanted to see what these two beauties planned to do with me. Rob me of my virtue. Fei, how did he faint? Exclaimed Xie Jingyao from the back seat. I drugged him, Wumeng Fei said with a smug grin. Sister Jing, you've seen the news too. Lots of criminals target women alone these days. Better safe than sorry. Don't worry, this medicine will just make him sleep. He'll wake up when we reach Jiangcheng City, it won't harm him. So she was guarding against me. Huh? I felt relieved. I might as well play along and use this to my advantage, as repayment for their giving me a ride. The car continued driving. Suddenly, two Jinbei vans rushed out from the side, forcefully changing lanes and cutting across ahead. Bang! Although Wumeng Fei reacted quickly and slammed on the brakes, the momentum was too great. The front of the car still crashed hard into the Jinbei van. Xie Jingya's forehead hit the steering wheel, blood streaming down. The bloodshed disaster had come true. Wumeng Fei ignored her own injuries. She quickly turned around and asked, Sister Ya, are you all right? I'm fine. Xie Jingyao wiped the blood from her forehead and said calmly, Check if that young brother is hurt. I'll go deal with this. However, before the car door could even open, 10 thugs with dyed hair of all colors jumped out of the Jinbei van. The leader was a brute with a thuggish face named Ma Han. Xie Jingya's face changed. Ma Han, you're from Yintian. President Xie, let's not beat around the bush. Ma Han tapped on the car window and sneered. You went to Qingsong Mountain today for the divine doctor's prescription, and now you're back. You should have a prescription by now. Hand it over, and we'll let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, you won't make it back to Jiangcheng. Xie Jingyao forced herself to stay calm. I know you're after money. I'll pay double. Let's go. Ma Han sneered. Even if we take your money, we'd have to live to spend it. You know Yuntian's rules. Xie Jingyao raised her pepper spray and sprayed it at Ma Han, but he easily blocked it. Since you won't take the hint, you leave me no choice. Boys, let's get to work. Throw the man out first. These two stunning beauties, I'm going to have a good time with them today. The thugs scrambled to pull open the car door. When the passenger door was opened, they saw me unconscious. Hey, there's a man here, one of the lackeys shouted. Xie Jingyao hastily explained. He's just hitchhiking. He has nothing to do with this. Let him go. Let him go so he can call the cops on us. Ma Han sneered dismissively. Drag him out and get rid of him. Just as a dirty hand reached for my collar, I opened my eyes. Run. A mocking smile curled at the corner of my mouth. In all my years, I've never had the word run in my dictionary. Maybe you should teach me. You're okay? Wumeng Fei's eyes widened in disbelief. Nonsense. I flexed my wrist arrogantly. If I could be taken down by your lousy knockout drug, would I still be worthy of being called the miracle doctor? Ma Han was stunned for a moment, then flushed with rage. So what if you're awake? In front of me, before he could finish, a blur flashed past. Bang! With a plain and unadorned uppercut, I precisely hit Ma Han's chin. His entire body flew out like a cannonball, crashing heavily several meters away, and he passed out on the spot. I hate it when people call themselves old man in front of me. You're just asking for a beating, I said calmly, dusting off my hands. When the remaining 9 thugs saw this, They all drew machetes and steel pipes, roaring as they charged forward. You dare hit Brother Sean? Let's cripple him. Watch out. Xie Jingyao cried out, grabbing her pepper spray and about to rush in to help. But she was quickly stunned by what she saw. I didn't use any fancy moves, just simple dodging left and right, with every punch and kick landing on their vital points. Those thugs in front of me were like slow-motion replays. In less than 20 seconds, all 10 were lying on the ground, wailing everywhere. None of them could stand up again. The battle ended. I patted the dust off my clothes and turned to look at the two women, who were frozen stiff. Wu Mengfei's phone hadn't even dialed yet, and her mouth was wide enough to fit an egg. You, how are you so amazing? I have even more amazing skills, I said with a smile, walking straight over to the thugs lying on the ground and starting to rummage through their pockets. Wu Mengfei was dumbfounded. What are you doing? Robbing them? I replied matter-of-factly. They tried to rob us, so they should be prepared to be robbed themselves. This is called dog eat dog. Got it. Wu Mengfei was thunderstruck, unable to utter a single word. The look in her eyes as she stared at me had shifted from contempt to deep fear. If someone were to make a move on her and Xie Jingya, no one would be able to stop them. Xie Jingya didn't say much. She ran over to check if the car could still be driven, then let Wu Mengfei drive while she returned to the back seat. And at this moment, Su Mu had already. After the robbery, he returned to the passenger seat again. Xie Jingya said gratefully, "Thank you, handsome young man, for saving us. If it weren't for you today." Before she could finish her sentence, Su Mu interrupted. "You take me to Jiangchang City. I help you chase away the bad guys. We'll be even, and don't ask me for the fare anymore." Xie Jingya laughed. "How can you compare them? One is just a ride, the other is a life-saving grace. It's a draw. What a pure and handsome young man." Xie Jingya's gaze at Su Mu was no longer wary. But Wu Mengfei couldn't help muttering, "Are you that obsessed with money?" "It's not that I care," Su Mu said after thinking for a moment. "Mainly because I was in such a hurry when I left this time that I forgot to bring any money." "Yeah." Wu Mengfei's face was covered in black lines. "What year do you think it is? Who even carries cash when going out these days? A single phone can solve everything. If a phone can solve everything, how does it solve this?" Su Mu grew curious and pulled out his Nokia 3100 from his pocket. Wu Mengfei burst out laughing. "You're still using a phone like this?" Wu Mengfei stared at Su Mu as if he were some kind of freak. In this day and age, even rural folks in their 70s and 80s use smartphones. Yet this handsome young guy in his early 20s is still rocking a feature phone from over a decade ago. What is wrong with this phone? Su Mu felt indignant. "Back where I'm from, this thing is a hot commodity normally. I would to even get a chance to use it once. If it weren't for me sneaking." Realizing he'd misspoken, Su Mu quickly changed the subject. "Oh, right, those black boxes with big screens that those guys were carrying earlier, those are phones. Aren't they? I should just mud one of them." Su Mu looked utterly regretful, which made Wu Mengfei laugh again. She was already dressed lightly, and as she laughed, her body swayed gracefully, giving Su Mu quite an eyeful. Xie Jingya saw this scene, cleared her throat twice, and then said to Su Mu, "Handsome guy, give me your phone number. When we get to Jiangchang City, I'll treat you to a meal to thank you for saving our lives." "I don't know the number." Su Mu said guiltily this phone belonged to his master, Yi Wuchen. His master guarded it like a precious treasure. If it weren't for the fact that today he was taken care of by his 3 mistresses, he wouldn't have had the chance to take it on the sly. Wu Mengfei, unaware of this, mocked him. "If you want Sister Ye's number, just say it. She'll definitely give it to you since you saved us. Why beat around the bush? What would I do with her number?" Su Mu said curiously, "Huh?" Wu Mengfei let out a cold laugh. "Sister Ye is so beautiful, and a CEO wanting her number naturally means you want to pursue her." Hearing this, Xie Jingya's face instantly turned red. She was about to give Su Mu her number, but then hesitated. However, Su Mu said with a look of disdain, "I have a fiancée already. Why would I pursue her?" Wu Mengfei glanced at Su Mu with disdain. "A poor wretch like you who even robs thugs for money. What woman would be blind enough to take a fancy to you? Humph! Don't say the grapes are sour just because you can't have them." Su Mu was a bit annoyed and said proudly, "I not only have a fiancée, I have 10 of them. But in my heart, there's only Tang Yun. This time I'm going to Jiangchang to break off engagements. Once I've broken off all 9 engagements, I can go find Tang Yun and marry her." "You make it sound so real." Wu Mengfei didn't believe it at all. thinking Su Mu was bragging. I'm a native of Jiangcheng. If you tell me your fiancés' names, maybe I'll recognize them. Su Mu took her seriously. He was just worrying about how hard it was to find his fiancés, and unexpectedly this woman turned out to be a local from Jiangcheng. If she really knows them, it would save him a lot of trouble. Su Mu said, in Jiangcheng, I have two fiancés. One is Xia Yuqing, and the other is Lu Shuyan. What? The words made both beauties exclaim simultaneously, especially Xie Jingya, who stared at Su Mu and asked, Yuqing is actually your fiancé? What's your name? Kumu, Saitumu. I'm Yuqing's aunt, Xie Jingya. She's never mentioned having a fiancé. Xie Jingya frowned. What else could it be? Su Mu must be making it up. Wu Mingfei still didn't believe it. Sister ya, he's probably set his sights on you and deliberately claimed to be engaged to Yuqing to get close to you. I have a marriage contract here. Su Mu took out the contract belonging to Xia Yuqing and handed it to Xie Jingya. Aunt, since Xia Yuqing is your niece, can you take me see her? Xie Jingya didn't answer him, but lowered her head to carefully read the contract. It indeed had Xia Yuqing's name on it, but the signature column was signed by Xia Yuqing's grandfather, Xia Shaod, and there was even a thumbprint. A family-arranged marriage. That was Xie Jingya's first thought. The Xia family was a major clan in Jiangcheng City, and climbing up wasn't about strength but background. Using their children for marriage alliances was their common tactic. Xie Jingya simply looked Su Mu up and down. How could he possibly have a powerful background? Moreover, Xia Shaod was now gravely ill and delirious, so no one could be sure whether this marriage contract was real or fake. Thus, after some deliberation, Xie Jingya returned the marriage contract to Su Mu. She said with a smile, Su Mu, I can take you to see Yuqing, but not right now. I have something more important to do at the company. If you need to take care of something, you can get off when we reach Jiangcheng City. I'll give you a call after I'm done. Xie Jingya had already decided to first send Su Mu away, then quietly contact Yuqing to ask about the real situation. If Yuqing didn't acknowledge this engagement, Xie Jingya certainly wouldn't be foolish enough to bring him over. But she ran into Su Mu, a completely naive young man who knew nothing of the world. He didn't catch the hint of dismissal in Xie Jingya's words at all, and instead grinned cheekily. Aunt, I'm free anyway, so I'll just come with you to the company. Don't worry, I won't hold you up from your work. When you're done, you could take me straight to see Xia Yuqing. Xie Jingya was speechless, utterly at a loss for what to say. Even Wu Mengfei stared at Su Mu in surprise for a long time before finally squeezing out a sentence. Su Mu, did you crawl out of some mountain ditch? You don't even understand such basic social graces? Fei Fei, don't talk nonsense. Xie Jingya shot her a glare and said, Su Mu is just innocent. Is there a problem? Su Mu blinked his eyes, looking utterly confused. Did I say something wrong? He had come to Jiangcheng City precisely to call off his engagements with his fiancés, Xia Yuqing and Lu Shuyan. Now that he knew Xie Jingya was Xia Yuqing's aunt, of course he wanted to stick with her. It would save him a lot of trouble. What's wrong with that? City folks sure have a lot of twists and turns. It's much more straightforward on Qingsong Mountain. Whoever has the biggest fist calls the shots. Wu Mingfei wanted to say something else, but was silenced by a sharp glare from Xie Jingya. Xie Jingya smiled at Su Mu and said, No problem. Su Mu, since you want to come with me, then let's go to the company together. Soon they arrived at Jiangcheng City. Seeing the towering skyscrapers around him, Su Mu was like a curious child, amazed by everything. He had only seen such scenes in his master's wife's notebook before, or heard about them from his fiancée Tang Yan. Now witnessing them in person, they were truly magnificent. His expression was exactly like Granny Lu entering the Grandview Garden. Country bumpkin, Wu Mengfei sneered inwardly. Arriving at the company, Su Mu saw 4 glittering golden characters, Yafei Group. So this is Aunt's company. No wonder she's the CEO. She even has her own office building. But Xie Jingya frowned, because many people had gathered outside the company gate. They were all waving their arms and shouting angrily, some even carrying weapons. If not for the security guards blocking them, they would have charged into the company. What's going on? Wu Mengfei, slightly panicked at the sight, said, Why are so many people gathered at the company in trance? Something's wrong, Xie Jingya said. Park the car on the side. I'll go check it out. Xie Jingya didn't push to the front, but hid behind the crowd, intending to listen to why these people were making trouble. Su Mu and Wu Mengfei followed behind her. Soon, They gathered the gist from the shouting and angry voices of the crowd. The reason was simple. The beauty products of Yafei Group had issues, causing many people to develop allergic reactions after application. Some got acne on their faces, while others broke out in rashes. Their already less than pretty faces were now covered in bumps and red spots, reaching a truly unbearable state. Just then, a young man in a suit and leather shoes walked out of the company. As soon as he appeared, the security guards rushed to protect him. The young man cleared his throat a few times, then raised his hand and said, "Everyone, quiet down for a moment and let me say a few words." Why did Xie Qingyan come out? Xie Jingyao wondered. With things so chaotic, since he's such a coward, shouldn't he be hiding? He definitely has ulterior motives. Wu Mengfei pouted. That bastard is targeting us at every turn. He's likely up to something bad now. As if responding to Wu Mengfei's words, Xie Qingyun declared loudly. First, thank you for using the cosmetics produced by our Yafei Group. Second, I deeply apologize for the allergic reactions you experienced after using the products. Finally, I want to say that this product was jointly developed and launched by our company's president and the pharmacist. As the vice president, I have nothing to do with it. So if you have any issues, please take them up with our president and the pharmacist. She is right behind you. As he spoke, Xie Qingyun pointed toward Xie Jingyao's location. Trouble. Xie Jingyao's brows knitted tightly. There were at least 30 or more people around. If they all swarmed over to cause trouble for her, they could crush her just by crowding in. Sure enough, upon hearing this, those people rushed over like a swarm. In an instant, they surrounded Xie Jingyao. Each one pointed at her nose and cursed. You heartless thing, selling us substandard cosmetics. Look, my face has become allergic from using them. Are you bullying me because I have no money? I'm telling you, if you don't fix my face today, I'm not letting this go. And you, a pharmacist without any skill, dare to call yourself a doctor? How dare you be a cosmetic pharmacist? Are you even qualified? Now that you've ruined our faces, you have to compensate us. Otherwise, I'll beat you to death. These people weren't just talking, some actually started to make a move. Just then, a woman around 30 years old raised her hand and lunged at Xie Jingyao with clawing fingers. She had long fingernails. If she were to scratch Xie Jingyao, that beautiful face would be disfigured. Wu Mengfei was so frightened that her face turned pale. But she was also surrounded by people and couldn't help at all. As for the security guards, they were all on the perimeter and couldn't break through even if they wanted to. However, Xie Qingyun, dressed in a suit, wore a smug smile of a successful scheme on his face as he watched the scene. Slap! Just as the fingernails were about to land on Xie Jingyao's face, Su Mu stepped in. He directly slapped the woman across the face. With a single strike, he sent her flying, knocking down a group of people. The people around were stunned for a moment, but quickly snapped out of it and rushed toward Xie Jingyao, shouting angrily. You ruined our faces, and now you dare to strike first. Is there no law in this world? Let's all attack together no matter what. We're not letting her leave today. A vicious business like this must be sent to jail. Those people charged quickly, but were beaten back even faster. Sumu wasn't about to go easy on them. Anyone who made a move was sent flying by a punch or kick from Sumu. Xie Jingyao was Xia Yuqing's aunt, and he was counting on her help to find Xia Yuqing. He had to protect her. The security guards took the opportunity to rush in and shield Xie Jingyao. It was only then that Xie Jingyao realized what had happened. Su Mu had actually hit someone, and the people he hit were customers who had bought products from Yafei Group. As the saying goes, the customer is God. Su Mu was essentially beating God. If word gets out, who would dare to buy Yafei Group's products in the future? If there's a problem with the product, we can negotiate a solution. Using physical violence is the way of gangsters. But before Xie Jingyao could blame him, Xie Qingyun spoke up first. Pointing at Su Mu, he said coldly, "Who are you? How dare you hit a client of our Yafei Group? I hate it when people point fingers at me." Su Mu swiftly rushed in front of him and grabbed his wrist. With a crisp crack, Su Mu snapped Xie Qingyun's wrist. In excruciating pain, he flew into a rage and called the security guards to attack Su Mu. The guards looked at each other, but none dared to move. Are you kidding? They had all seen Su Mu's skills just now. He was definitely a master among masters. What's the difference between teaching him a lesson and seeking death? They only earn a few thousand yuan a month. It's not worth risking their lives. Su Mu continued. As for the client you mentioned, is he really a client? I feel like he's a shill you hired. What do you mean by that? Xie Qingyun said angrily. What do you mean? Do you want to spell out? Sumu sneered. You think smearing a bit of stuff on your face can fake an allergic reaction? That little trick might fool my aunt, but it can't escape my sharp eyes. Sumu, is that all true? Xie Jingya asked suspiciously. Of course it's true, no doubt about it. Sumu said confidently. If you don't believe me, call the police right now and have them arrested. Once they're checked, the truth will come out. Xie Jingya was skeptical, but still, she pulled out her phone to call the police. After all, this situation had devolved into a physical fight, so calling the cops was the best solution. Xie Chengyun said gloomily. Xie Jingya, you can't call the police. Why not? Sumu said. Earlier, I saw you exchanging glances with these people. Are you sure they're not actually your hired actors? Plotting to frame my aunt. Xie Jingya also shot him a questioning look. Bullshit, Xie Qingyun barked. This incident happened at our company's entrance and is related to our product. Once we call the police, it will definitely affect the company's reputation. As for framing Xie Jingya, that is even more impossible. She is my sister-in-law. We are family, bound by blood. How could I possibly frame her? Also, why do you call Xie Jingya aunt? How come I don't remember having a cousin like you? None of your damn business, Su Mu said coldly. It's truly a family misfortune that your aunt has a nephew like you. Upon hearing this, Xie Qingyun was so angry he almost spat blood. Although he is not the pillar of the Xie family, he is after all a graduate of a prestigious university and has studied abroad. They are the key person being groomed by the Xie family. In the future, even if they can't inherit the Xie family's estate, they'll at least become a pivotal figure within the family. Now, according to Su Mu, he had become a disgrace to the family. Su Mu ignored Xie Qingyun and turned to suggest to Xie Jingya. Aunt, actually the simplest way is to arrest them and interrogate them. Then we'll know whether they're connected to Xie Qingyun. I agree with Su Mu's statement. Wu Mengfei chimed in. These people dare to slander our company's image. They must be severely punished. She is the pharmacist of Yafei Group. If there are allergic reactions to the cosmetics, she, as the pharmacist, cannot escape blame. That's why she supports Su Mu in catching these people to find out whether their faces are truly allergic and to clear her own name. Hearing this, those customers grew anxious and kept looking at Xie Qingyun. Xie Qingyun secretly waved his hand, and those people, as if pardoned, fled in panic. Sister Ya, what are you waiting for? Quickly order Su Mu to catch them, or they'll be gone in no time. Wu Mengfei said urgently. Xie Jingya sighed. They only wanted to extort some money. Since they've run away, let's forget about it. There are many things in the company waiting to be dealt with. We can't waste any more time. Then she turned to Su Mu and said, Su Mu, I really thank you today. If it weren't for you. Before she could finish, Su Mu waved his hand and said, Auntie, no need for polite words. Just don't forget what you promised me. Don't worry, I definitely won't forget. Xie Jingya assured. First, rest in the lobby for a while. Once I'm done, I'll take you to find Yuqing right away. Gurgle. Su Mu's stomach growled at an inopportune moment. It made him a bit embarrassed. He left in a hurry this morning and didn't have time to eat. After running around the mountain roads all morning and sitting in the car for so long, it was almost past noon. Having missed 2 meals, it would be strange if the big eater, Su Mu, wasn't hungry. Xie Jingya patted her forehead and said apologetically, It's all my fault for being busy thinking about things and forgetting the time. Fei Fei, take Su Mu to eat first. By the time you get back, my meeting here should be about over. Wu Mengfei, who had a belly full of doubts to ask Su Mu, agreed right away. She drove and took Su Mu to a high-end Western restaurant. As soon as they sat down, she couldn't wait to ask, Su Mu, how did you figure out that those people's allergies were from makeup? I'm a divine doctor. If I can't even see through this trivial trick, I'd be unworthy of the title. Su Mu said confidently. Wu Mengfei pursed her lips, clearly unconvinced. Fine, don't say it then. Let's order. I'll have a steak. What about you? Same as you. Su Mu, going out for the first time, didn't even know the portion size of the steak. When the steak was served, Su Mu was stunned. Pointing at the plate, he questioned, Is this a steak? Yeah, what's wrong? Wu Mengfei asked, puzzled. This is way too little. Su Mu slapped the table and shouted, Give me 20, no, 50 steaks. Hearing this, Wu Mengfei spat out the water she had just drunk. When you eat at a Western restaurant, it's for the ambience, not to get full. What the hell? Are you kidding me? 50 steaks. The people around were also stunned by his words. One by one, they looked at Su Mu, pointing and gossiping. Su Mu didn't think much of it, but Wu Mengfei was so ashamed she wished she could crawl into a hole. Why was I so pathetic? Actually bringing this country bumpkin to eat at a Western restaurant. Wasn't I just asking for trouble? Su Mu ignored her resentful gaze, grabbed the steak, and tore into it. And he had to admit, the steak was really delicious. Su Mu ate with relish. Once again, it drew sidelong glances from the people around, with comments about him being a country bumpkin who had never seen the world. But Su Mu didn't care at all. The waiter brought one steak after another, and he ate each one. Without a pause, he polished off all 50 steaks. He even let out a burp. "Check, please." Wu Mengfei didn't want to stay a moment longer. She swore that anyone who ate with this country bumpkin again would be a dog. She had lost face to the extreme. "This meal is on me," Su Mu said proudly. "After all, I was the one who ate everything. You didn't even touch a chopstick." Indeed, ever since Su Mu ordered 50 steaks, Wu Mengfei had buried her head under the table and hadn't even touched her knife and fork. She had no appetite at all. She just wanted to leave quickly. So she didn't bother arguing with Su Mu over who would pay the bill. "Hello, sir. Your total comes to 20,349. Will that be cash or card?" The waiter asked very politely. "What?" This time it was Su Mu's turn to be dumbfounded. 20,000 for one meal? Are you robbing me? Haha, this is killing me." Just then, a loud laugh came from the side. "The menu clearly says a steak is $399. You bumpkin might not have seen such a thing before, but surely you can read, can't you?" Su Mu's face turned red with embarrassment. It wasn't that he couldn't read, he just hadn't paid attention. And he never imagined a single steak could cost so much. It's just a piece of meat, after all. Up in the mountains, from tigers and leopards down to pheasants and hares. Whatever he wanted to eat, he would just go hunt, and not spend a single cent. Now, a tiny slice of beef costs a ridiculous $399. The problem is, I only have about $2,000 left from robbing Ma, Sean, nowhere near enough to pay. "Honey, you keep your pocket money for smokes. I'll cover this meal." Wu Mengfei, upon seeing the man, stepped forward and wrapped her arm around Su Mu's, leaning her whole body against him, speaking in a coquettish tone. She looked every bit the proper young wife. The man earns the money to support the family, and the woman is beautiful as a flower, a perfect match made in heaven. Before Su Mu could react, the man in front of him snapped angrily. "Wu Mengfei, what do you mean by this? I've pursued you for 3 years, and you've always been cold to me. Now you throw yourself at a country bumpkin? Are you trying to spite me?" "Oh, a shield." Su Mu finally caught on. No wonder Wu Mengfei was clinging to him and calling him hubby. So she used him to fend off this toad in front of them. When a beauty throws herself into his arms, how could Su Mu bear to refuse? Bah, am I the kind of guy who gets blinded by a pretty face? I'm only helping her out because she offered to pay for my meal. But his hand stealthily found its way to Wu Mengfei's slender waist. So soft, he even took a deep sniff of her scent. So fragrant. Wu Mengfei shot him a sharp glare before turning to the man before her and saying, "Sun Tao, you're only chasing me because you covet my family's ancestral medical skills. Don't think I don't know that. Mengfei, you've misunderstood me." Sun Tao's expression shifted for a moment before he patiently explained. "I, Sun Tao, am the department head at Central Hospital. How could I possibly covet your family's medical skills?" As he spoke, he flashed his credentials. Indeed, he was the department head at Central Hospital. Wow. Sun Tao became the department head at Central Hospital at such a young age. His future is limitless. Isn't that obvious? Dr. Sun really has the skills. A while ago, my dad was sick, and other hospitals had already issued a critical illness notice. But when we found Dr. Sun, he just gave a few acupuncture needles and brought my dad back from the brink of death. He's practically or reborn. Such a thing actually happened? Then it seems he really wasn't after that girl's family's medical skills. Absolutely. What's so special about family-inherited medical skills? Probably not even as much as what the head of the department at Central Hospital earns. Hearing the gossip around her, Wu Mengfei was mortified. Sun Tao, however, looked smug. "Mengfei, if you dump this country bumpkin, I can pretend nothing happened and still take you back. Dr. Sun is so magnanimous, his girlfriend already has her arm linked with another man, and he can still accept her. That's true love. Yes, if it weren't true love, who could tolerate wearing a green hat? If I were that girl, I'd definitely choose Dr. Sun. That man was dressed in rags and couldn't even afford a meal, clearly a country bumpkin. no match for Dr. Sun. My husband is a miracle doctor that Sun Tao isn't even fit to polish his shoes. Wu Mengfei, exasperated, blurted out a boast without thinking. Not daring to linger any longer, she paid the bill and pulled Su Mu to flee. But just then, a cry for help came from inside the restaurant. Oh no, someone's collapsed. Help quick! At the shout, everyone turned their gaze toward that spot. Not far away, an elderly man lay on the ground, eyes shut, face blackened. His breathing was shallow, and weak it seemed he wouldn't last much longer. Honey, wait here a moment. I'm going to help him. Wu Mingfei let go of Su Mu and rushed straight over. She knelt down to examine the old man's condition and felt his pulse, but was at a loss. Mengfei, although your family has ancestral medical skills, they are passed down only to men, not women. Let me handle this. Sun Tao also walked over and spoke up. Wu Mengfei didn't argue about such a life and death matter, she just stood by and watched. But in her heart, she felt somewhat bitter. At home, there was clearly such profound medical skill, yet Grandpa refused to pass it on to her. He insisted on only teaching it to males, not females. And the Wu family had mostly single-line inheritance. Grandpa was an only son, and Dad was also an only son. But when it came to her, she turned out to be a daughter. Dad didn't like studying medicine either, so he went into business early on. Grandpa would rather let the medical skill be lost than teach it to her. This matter was like a thorn stuck in Wu Mengfei's throat, stabbing her painfully every time it was brought up. She nearly fell, but Su Mu was quick-eyed and quick-handed, stepping forward to support her. He comforted, Fei, don't worry, he won't be able to cure this old man. Wu Mengfei's face was covered in black lines. Was I worried about that? At this moment, Wu Mengfei really wanted to crack open Su Mu's head to see how his neural synapses were wired, wondering why he had such an oddly twisted way of thinking. Meanwhile, the people around began to condemn Su Mu. This country bumpkin is not only poor, but also short-sighted. Dr. Sun just took his girlfriend, and now he's cursing him, hoping the treatment fails. What malicious intent is that? Poor mountains and bad rivers breed unruly people. He's one of them. What a pity, a beautiful flower planted in such a piece of trash, worse than cow dung. Everyone, stop arguing. Sun Tao shouted loudly. Don't disturb me while I'm treating a patient. At his roar, the crowd actually stopped their accusations, but their looks at Su Mu were still unfriendly. Even Wu Mengfei gave Su Mu a hard pinch on the waist and whispered to him softly, if you don't know, don't speak recklessly. Don't you know trouble comes from the mouth? But what I said is true. Su Mu complained. Wu Mengfei couldn't be bothered to argue with him anymore. Even if it's the truth, you can't say it like that. It's like cursing the patient to die. How did I run into such a clueless jerk? I must remind Sister Yi to stay away from Su Mu. At this point, Sun Tao flipped open the patient's eyelids, pried open his mouth to check his tongue coating, even leaned in to listen carefully to his chest, and finally took his pulse. After a moment, he let out a sigh of relief and said, nothing serious, just a common geriatric condition. The blood is too thick, causing insufficient oxygen supply and a temporary shock. As long as I give him a needle to let some blood, he'll recover naturally. With that, Sun Tao pulled out a small medical kit from behind him. Inside were not only silver needles, but also alcohol, band-aids, and other common emergency supplies. He first sterilized the silver needle, then pricked the patient's middle finger with it. Su Mu shook his head upon seeing this, sneering disdainfully. A quack like this can be the department head of the central hospital? How ridiculous! Hearing this, Wu Mengfei shot him a displeased glare. She said coldly, if you don't speak, no one will think you're mute. I'm just telling the truth. Su Mu retorted irritably. This old man doesn't have thick blood. The reason he's unconscious is because he's been poisoned. Whoosh! At that moment, a gust of wind came from behind, heading straight for Su Mu's back. As if having eyes in the back of his head, Su Mu spun around sharply and grabbed the object attacking him. It was a foot wearing a small black leather shoe, followed by a slender leg, wrapped in a white sock. Then, a glimpse of something intimate. Su Mu felt his blood rush, a surge of heat nearly bursting forth. Startled, he quickly let go. Pervert! Fang Yuesher landed on both feet, her face flushed red with shame, and cursed angrily. You sneak attacked me from behind and still call me a pervert? Where's your sense of reason? Su Mu was also a bit annoyed. If it weren't for his own strength, Had it been someone without martial arts skills, that kick would have sent them sprawling face first into the dirt. Before he could even say anything, she was the one to accuse him first, slapping him with the label of a pervert. This woman was quite pretty, but far too fiery-tempered. Sumu shook his head. Inwardly, women in the city were truly unreasonable. You cursed my grandfather into poisoning. You deserve a beating, Fan Yuesher said coldly. Ignoring Sumu, she ran to her grandfather and said anxiously, Grandfather, are you okay? Sun Tao looked up at her and was instantly stunned. This woman is too beautiful. She's on the same level as Wu Mengfei. She wore a JK uniform, a ponytail, a backpack, and black leather shoes. If she had a lollipop in her mouth, it would be a proper cosplay, and even the perfect image from an adult film. That wasn't the key point. The key was that she called this old man lying on the ground grandfather. If I cure her grandfather, wouldn't I be able to get the best advantage? Thinking of this, Sun Tao's mouth watered. He took a deep breath, steadied himself, and said, Miss, your grandfather's blood is too thick. He passed out. But don't worry, I'm the department head at the central hospital. I'll give him a couple of needles to let some blood, and he'll be cured. Thank you, Fan Yuesher said gratefully. As long as you can cure my grandfather, you'll be well rewarded. Your grandfather is poisoned. That quack doctor is treating him. Before Su Mu could finish speaking, Wu Mengfei covered his mouth and pulled him back. At the same time, she apologized to Fan Yuesher with a smile. I'm sorry, my boyfriend is a country bumpkin from the countryside, and he's a bit off. Don't take his words seriously. Then she glared at Su Mu and said, Su Mu, if you keep talking like that, I'll tear your mouth apart. But I'm telling the truth, Su Mu said, feeling speechless. That old man is poisoned. Shut up, Wu Mengfei said coldly. Say one more word, and I won't let Sister take you to find Yuqing. This hit Su Mu's weak spot, and he quickly covered his mouth. At that moment, Sun Tao had already removed the silver needles, and a gush of blood flowed from the old man's fingers. The old man's complexion visibly recovered. His fingers twitched a few times, and then his eyes opened. He's awake. He's awake. Dr. Sun is truly amazing. He actually cured him. No kidding. Dr. Sun is the department head at Central Hospital, a real powerhouse. Of course he's amazing. Thank goodness for Dr. Sun today. If we'd listened to that hick, the patient would probably be dead by now. The crowd started flattering him, practically lifting Sun Tao to the heavens. Sun Tao gave Wu Mengfei a smug glance. Grandpa, how do you feel? Seeing her grandpa awake, Fan Yuesher rushed over anxiously. I'm fine. Fan Quishan stood up and moved around a bit. Then he laughed and said, Yuesher, don't worry. I feel lighter than ever. It seems Dr. Sun here has cured me completely. We should thank him. Just then, Su Mu spoke again. 9. What are you doing? Wu Mengfei asked, puzzled. Counting down, said Su Mu. What's the point of counting down? Wu Mengfei was even more curious. Was this hick trying to get attention like that? 8. Su Mu counted another number before answering her. This old man's heart is poisoned within 10 counts. He's bound to relapse. 7. Wu Mengfei was so angry she could grind her teeth, not knowing what to say. She pulled Su Mu to leave. I really can't afford to lose face like this. Despite this, it still didn't stop Su Mu's mouth. 651. Before the last word even fell, Fan Quishan couldn't help but open his mouth and spray a mouthful of blood. The man collapsed to the ground again. His face instantly turned as pale as paper, but within the whiteness, traces of cyan showed through. Grandpa, what's wrong with you? Fan Yuesher was terrified, shaking her grandfather's body and crying bitterly. Don't scare me like this. You're my only grandfather. You can't leave me behind. How could this happen? The people around were also startled, all looking at Sun Tao. Dr. Sun, please take another look quickly. Reminded by this, Fan Yuesher came to her senses and hurriedly said to Sun Tao, Dr. Sun, you're a doctor. Please check my grandfather again. Weren't you just treating him? Why did he faint again? Miss, please don't cry. Excessive grief is bad for your health too, Sun Tao said with pity, while patting his chest to assure her. Don't worry, as long as I'm here, I won't let anything happen to your grandfather. With that, he crouched down to take Fan Quishan's pulse. His brows furrowed involuntarily. He checked Fan Quishan's eyelids, listened to his heartbeat, and even bent down to smell the dark blood he had just vomited. After fussing for a while, his expression fell. Dr. Sun, How's my grandfather? Fong Yuesher asked urgently. Sorry, miss. You should start preparing for your grandfather's funeral. Sun Tao sighed. He felt his pulse, which was almost imperceptible. Even his heartbeat was extremely faint. A dying body, even immortals couldn't save him. Woo-woo. Fong Yuesher cried her heart out. Why? My grandpa just turned 60. He's been working hard his whole life. Right at the age to enjoy himself. How could this happen? How could he just abandon me like this? Whoa, I don't believe it. Dr. Sun, you're definitely lying to me just to get more money, aren't you? Name your price. No matter what it costs, Fong Yuesher, will not even bat an eye. Sun Tao hesitated. What a great opportunity, but he really can't cure that old man. Could only shake his head. It's not that I don't want to help you, beautiful lady, but go on, what are you waiting for? At the doorway, Su Mu was pulling Wu Mengfei with an urging tone. He really had an attack. Wu Mengfei exclaimed in shock. You're not lying. Sun Tao really can't cure him. These words just reached Sun Tao's ears, causing him to roll his eyes and say to Fong Yuesher, since that beauty can tell that your grandfather is poisoned, maybe she has a solution. Sun Tao was convinced that the other party definitely could not cure it. Anyway, I'm not the only one who's embarrassed. Dragging someone down with you at least shares the blame. Fong Yuesher didn't think that far. She just wanted to cure her grandfather. She rushed to the door and blocked Su Mu's way. Handsome man, please help cure my grandfather. Why should I help you? Su Mu shook his head, utterly speechless. This beauty might have a screw loose. She doubted me and even ambushed me. And now she wants me to treat her grandfather? Dream on. Su Mu couldn't be bothered to respond. He took Wu Mengfei's hand and was about to leave. Wait, it was Wu Mengfei who pulled Su Mu back. Can you really cure that old man? Of course, Su Mu said proudly. I'm a divine doctor. There's no illness in this world I can't cure. Then go and help her. Wu Mengfei said, why should I? Su Mu was displeased. She not only doubted me just now, but even ambushed me. If it weren't for my strong skills, she would have succeeded, and then I'd have ended up face first on the ground. She treated me like this. Why should I help her? Saving one life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. Wu Mengfei patiently persuaded. Saving him is accumulating virtue for yourself. Moreover, a doctor has a benevolent heart. As doctors, how can we stand by and watch someone die? Thump! Fong Yuesher knelt down and kowtowed to Su Mu, saying, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have doubted you just now, and I shouldn't have sneak attacked you. I apologize here and now. Please help my grandfather. He's really not going to make it. As long as you can cure him, I'll do whatever you say. Fong Yuesher was truly desperate. She didn't even think to call for emergency medical help. After all, Sun Tao is the department head of the central hospital, and even someone as capable as him couldn't cure her grandfather. Even if she sent her grandfather to the central hospital, there probably wouldn't be much hope. Moreover, it's quite far from the central hospital, and any delay on the road might miss the optimal treatment window. Really anything? Su Mu gave Fong Yuesher a deep look. Because Fong Yuesher was kneeling, when she looked up, her gaze landed right on Su Mu's eyes, which happened to be fixed on her chest. Fong Yuesher's face flushed red, and she couldn't help but want to strike out. But she suppressed the anger in her heart and said, in a voice as faint as a mosquito's, as long as you can cure my grandfather, I'll even marry you. Get lost. Su Mu immediately refused. I already have 10 fiancés now, and I can't even get rid of them fast enough. How could I possibly want you? Women are just trouble. Can't you see I can't even afford a meal? I'm asking for money, understand? Give me $1 million, and I'll cure your grandfather. What? Fong Yuesher was stunned. Then she fell into self-doubt. After all, Fong Yuesher was a great beauty, the pride of the Fong family, and the school beauty of Jiangxing University. She had no shortage of suitors, at least 800 if not 1,000. Yet now, throwing herself at him, she was being rejected. Fong Yuesher couldn't help but take a good look at Su Mu. What a strange man. Wu Mengfei was also stunned. Just now, when she saw Su Mu staring at Fong Yuesher with that blatant look, she thought the guy had something dirty on his mind and was about to do something sleazy. Unexpectedly, he was asking for money. Could it be that everything he said was true, and he really had 10 marriage contracts? How could a country bumpkin from the countryside have 10 fiancés from the city? Wu Mengfei couldn't help but feel curious about Su Mu. Fine, Fong Yuesher said. As long as you cure my grandfather, The 1 million will be transferred to you immediately. Sumu didn't hesitate any longer and turned around to go back into the restaurant. He crouched beside Fong Quishan, took out his silver needles, and was about to insert them. Sumu, aren't you going to examine him first? Wu Mengfei quickly stopped him, frowning. Are you just randomly sticking needles in without even knowing what disease he has? I didn't know he's been poisoned. Sumu said. You? Wu Mengfei was left speechless. Sumu ignored her and channeled his spiritual power into the silver needles. The silver needle buzzed with such a high frequency that ordinary people could hardly see it clearly. At a certain moment, Sumu inserted the needle into Fong Quishan's body. Then he took out the second needle. Seeing this, Sun Tao sneered inwardly. This guy really is a country bumpkin. He doesn't even disinfect the needle before sticking it into the patient. Isn't he afraid of causing an infection? But that's fine. It'll let him wash his hands of all responsibility. So he kindly reminded him, Hick, your needle isn't disinfected at all. If something goes wrong after jabbing it into the patient, you'll be held responsible. None of your damn business. Sumu turned back and scolded. If I were a quack like you, I'd have already banged my head against a wall and died. You even have the nerve to boss people around here. Don't you know how to spell shame? You. Sun Tao was so ashamed that his face and neck turned red. I may be a quack, but at least I managed to wake the old man up for a moment. But you didn't even bother to disinfect before needling him. This is murder. When the old man stops breathing entirely, I'd like to see how you explain to this young lady. Upon hearing Sun Tao's words, Fang Yuesher also hesitated. She wanted to stop him, but Sumu had already inserted the second, third, and fourth needles. His speed increased, and in an instant, he had inserted 9 needles. The 9 returned to 1 needle. Wu Mengfei exclaimed in shock upon seeing this. Why you? How do you know the 9 returned to 1 needle? What does the 9 return to 1 needle? Fang Yuesher asked curiously. Can this needle cure my grandfather? It can, it definitely can. Wu Mengfei assured. The 9 return to 1 needle is the hereditary medical skill of our Wu family. As long as the patient still has a breath, it can bring them back from the jaws of death. Phew. Fang Yuesher let out a huge sigh of relief. As long as Grandpa is safe, that's all that matters. She didn't care about anything else. You actually stole the Wu family's hereditary medical skill? Sun Tao said coldly. Wu Mengfei, is this the boyfriend you found? Are you living up to your grandfather's expectations? Stop arguing. Sumu turned back and glared at him. I can't stand people making noise when I'm treating a patient. It annoys me. What if I prick the wrong spot? Learning someone's family heirloom medical skills without permission makes you a thief. I'm calling the police right now. Before Sun Tao could finish speaking, he was kicked. It was Fang Yuesher. She kicked Sun Tao flying and said coldly, You quack doctor. Didn't you hear divine doctor, Su, say no noise? Shut your stinking mouth and get lost best if you leave Jiangsheng City altogether. Otherwise, every time I see you, I'll beat you. Sun Tao wanted to defend himself, but seeing Fang Yuesher's raised fist, he swallowed his words and fled in disgrace. In his heart, he still sneered. 9 returned to 1 needle, so what? What matters is whether it can cure the disease. If he can't cure old Master Fang, then just wait to die. But Sun Tao was still puzzled. This 9 returned to 1 needle was the treasure of old Master Wu, not even passed down to his granddaughter. How could Sumu know it? It must be that Wu Mengfei secretly taught him. These two were in cahoots, stealing old Master Wu's medical techniques. I have to go inform on them, or old Master Wu will remain in the dark. Yes, to the Wu residence. Sun Tao made up his mind and drove straight to the destination. At that moment, Su Mu had already inserted the 10th needle. Wu Mengfei couldn't help but step back 2 paces, her face full of shock. This is impossible. This is impossible. How could you possibly know our Wu family's 9 returns to 1 needle technique? And you're even more skilled with it than my grandfather. This absolutely cannot be. Your grandfather knows the 9 returns to 1 needle? Su Mu turned around, curious as well. Then we might really be connected somehow. When you have time, take me to your place to meet your grandfather. Can you two please not discuss meeting the parents at a time like this? Fang Yuesher said, exasperated. My grandfather is still lying on the floor. You need to hurry and wake him up. He's already awake. Su Mu said as he pulled out the silver needles. As he withdrew the needles, Fang Quishan suddenly sat up and opened his mouth to spit out another mouthful of blood. Moreover, The blood emitted a strong, foul, and pungent smell. Grandpa, how do you feel? Fong Yuesher ignored all that and rushed to her grandfather's side, asking worriedly, I'm fine. Fong Quishan checked his condition, found nothing wrong, and looked around to thank Sun Tao, only to realize he couldn't find him. He couldn't help but ask in confusion, Yuesher, where's that Dr. Sun who cured me? Where is he? Don't tell me he left right after curing me. Girl, he is my lifesaver. How could you let him leave just like that? We must thank him properly. Grandpa, you've misunderstood. The one who truly cured you was divine Dr. Sumu. Fong Yuesher tugged at her grandfather's sleeve, pointed at Sumu, and explained what had just happened. What? That Sun Tao was actually a quack? He almost killed me. Fong Quishan's eyes widened in shock, and he said coldly, if I ever run into him again, I'll break his dog legs for sure. After dropping a harsh word, Fong Quishan turned to Sumu and clasped his fists. Benefactor, please accept my bow. No need for bows. Sumu lifted him with his hands, preventing the bow. Just give me the payment for the treatment. 1 million, not a penny less. Give me your car number, and I'll transfer it to you right now. Fong Yuesher said, What SA car number? Sumu scratched his head and said, I come from a mountain village and don't understand your city's complicated ways. Just give me cash directly. Cash. Even Fong Quishan, who had seen the world, was stunned. The Fong family was wealthy, but suddenly, they really couldn't come up with 1 million in cash. Even go to the bank to withdraw, it would take a while. Seeing them not moving, Sumu's face darkened. You don't have it? Are you trying to cheat me? I cured your old man's illness, and now you want to renege on the payment, right? Sumu, don't talk nonsense. Wu Mingfei, knowing Sumu was inexperienced, quickly stepped forward and said, Their money is all on cards. How about this? I'll have them transfer it to my card, and I'll get the cash out for you later. Are you sure? Sumu asked. What do you mean? Wu Mingfei was left speechless. You think I'd covet that little bit of your money? I doubt you dare. Sumu let out a cold snort. If you really did take my money, I'd spank you until your butt turns black and blue. Wu Mingfei's face was covered in black lines. Why does my mouth have to be so cheap? Why'd I even help that bastard collect the money? Next time I'll absolutely sever ties with him. Once I take out the money and give it to him, I'll say goodbye and never see him again. Fong Yuesher didn't dawdle either and transferred the money to Wu Mingfei. After receiving the notification, Sumu glanced at it before feeling at ease. Then he said to Fong Quishan, Old man, since you obediently paid up, I'll point you to another way out. The poison in your body hasn't been completely removed. What? Fong Quishan couldn't help but step back, staring intently at Sumu. Fong Yuesher's gaze also turned quite unfriendly. Even Wu Mingfei looked at Sumu with a strange expression. You took the money without even removing the poison? The key point is that he said it so brazenly, even claiming it's the right way. What's the difference between that and asking for death? So she tugged at Sumu and urged, Then what are you waiting for? The poison hasn't been fully removed. Keep going. Too troublesome. Sumu shook his head. I have no connection to him. There's no need to waste time on him. Besides, there's not much poison left. Just go to the hospital to get your stomach pumped and watch your diet from now on, and it'll be fine. Let's hurry up and leave. I'm waiting to go find Yuqing. Without giving Wu Mingfei a chance to react, Sumu pulled her and left the restaurant, leaving Fong Quishan and Fong Yuesher staring at each other blankly. Grandpa, what should we do now? Fong Yuesher asked. What else can we do? Go to the hospital. Fong Quishan sighed. They won't treat us. It's not like we can force them. It's just that spending 1 million feels so frustrating. Once the poison is completely out of my system, I'll settle the score with him. Wu Mingfei didn't know any of this. As soon as she got in the car, she turned to Sumu and asked, How do you know the 9 returns to 1 acupuncture technique? My master taught me. Sumu said matter-of-factly. Who is your master? And why should I tell you? Wu Mingfei was furious, but had no way to deal with Sumu. Besides, being a medical student herself, she could tell from Sumu's needling technique that he was far more skilled than her grandfather. He definitely hadn't learned it by stealing from her grandfather. So his master's lineage must really be connected to her grandfather. Should she take him home? Just then, her phone rang. Wu Mingfei answered and heard her grandfather yelling on the other end, telling her to come home or he would disown her as his granddaughter. Since your grandfather needs you, just drop me off at the entrance of your Fei group. I'll go find my aunt myself. Wu Mengfei nodded, dropped Sumu off, and drove away. Sumu walked straight inside. The security guard showed him utmost respect and personally escorted him to the CEO's office. Knocking on the door, he heard a muffled voice from inside. "Who is it?" "It's Sumu." Sumu said, "Come in yourself." Sumu pushed the door open and found Xie Jingya eating instant noodles, so he frowned and said, "Aunt, instant noodles contain preservatives that are harmful to your health. You should eat less of them." "I can't help it. When I'm busy, I don't even have time to eat." Xie Jingya gave a wry smile. "Take a seat for a while. I'll take you to Yuqing after I finish my noodles." Sumu sat down on the sofa and was immediately stunned. "This thing is so soft. It feels so comfortable sitting here, much better than sitting on the stone blocks at Qingsong Mountain. No wonder everyone wants to be a CEO. This is real luxury." It was so comfortable that Sumu felt like taking a nap. Xie Jingya secretly glanced at him and, seeing that Sumu wasn't looking her way, took out her phone and sent a message to Xia Yuqing. But the message was like a stone sinking into the sea. Even after finishing the bowl of noodles, she hadn't received a reply. Xie Jingya couldn't help feeling anxious. Just then, Sumu's voice came through. "Little aunt, now that you've finished eating, can you take me there?" Sure. Let me just tidy up a bit." Xie Jingya forced a conciliatory smile. She tossed the instant noodle container into the trash, went to the bathroom to wash up, and touched up her makeup. "All right, let's go," Xie Jingya said with a smile. But she had only taken 2 steps when she felt a sharp, piercing pain in her stomach. "Oh no, my period's here." Xie Jingya crouched down, clutching her stomach, with fine beads of sweat already forming on her forehead. "Little aunt, what's wrong?" Sumu quickly supported her, asking with concern. "I'm fine, just a bit of stomachache." Xie Jingya forced out a faint smile. "Maybe you can wait a bit longer? Let me rest for a while, and once the pain stops, I'll take you to find Yuqing." Unexpectedly, Sumu said foolishly, "You have menstrual cramps." Xie Jingya immediately turned bright red. This brat, doesn't he know this is a woman's private matter? How could he just blurt it out so loudly like that? "Aunt, why don't I treat you?" Sumu said, "You can cure illnesses?" Xie Jingya was stunned. "I'm a divine doctor. How come your dysmenorrhea stumped me?" Sumu said proudly, "I just need to massage you for a while and prescribe a formula. If you take it continuously for a period, I guarantee you'll never feel pain again." "Can it be cured completely?" Xie Jingya said in surprise. She also knew that dysmenorrhea was a disease. But on one hand, she was too embarrassed to see a doctor. On the other hand, it couldn't be easily cured. After all, she was the CEO, handling the entire company's affairs under immense pressure. She often ate instant noodles and had an irregular diet, leading to hormonal imbalance. Even taking medicine didn't have much effect. Sumu's claim that he could cure it completely made her a bit skeptical. "Of course I can," Sumu said firmly. "Dysmenorrhea is just a minor illness in my presence. In an instant, I can restore you to your original state. Aunt, don't hesitate. Your condition is quite serious. If the pain continues, you might go into shock. I'm counting on you to take me to find Yuqing. You can't have an accident. Hurry and lie down. I'll give you a massage first." Without waiting for Xie Jingya's reply, Sumu picked her up and placed her on the sofa. Don't do it here." Since things had come to this, Xie Jingya didn't want to stop him anymore. Besides, the pain was really severe. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say it was excruciating. Since Sumu could undo the medicine Wu Mengfei had made and confidently claimed he could cure her, let him try. "Go inside, there's a bed in there," Xie Jingya said shyly, assuming a posture of being at his mercy. Sumu carried Xie Jingya into the inner room, where there was indeed a bed. It was relatively small, probably the one Xie Jingya used for her afternoon naps. Sumu put Xie Jingya on the bed and was about to lift her clothes. "What are you doing?" Xie Jingya was startled and hurriedly grabbed the hem of her clothes. "I'm giving you a massage," Sumu said blankly. "This is menstrual cramps. I have to massage your lower abdomen. It works better if I lift the clothes." "Aunt, don't overthink it. I'm not going to do anything to you. I still have 9 marriage contracts to cancel, so I can't possibly get involved with you. Besides, I'm a doctor. In a doctor's eyes, there is no gender distinction." "All right, fine." Xie Jingya was in too much pain to argue, so she could only allow Sumu to lift her shirt a little. Her flat, smooth belly was revealed, almost blinding Sumu's eyes. Fortunately, Sumu cleared his mind and began to massage. But as soon as his fingers touched Xie Jingya's belly, a softness spread beneath them, making Su Mu's thoughts start to drift. City women are so soft and delicate. Should I just not cancel the marriage contracts? Take them all in. The moment this thought crossed his mind, Su Mu immediately thought of his master and mistress. His master had only 3 mistresses, yet they turned his hair gray early and caused chaos at Green Pine Mountain. If he had over a dozen women vying for his attention every day, just imagining it gave Su Mu a shudder. He quickly took a deep breath, discarded these distracting thoughts, and began the real massage. The massage is very simple. It's just channeling his spiritual energy into Xie Jingya's lower abdomen to warm her body and balance her secretions. As he massaged, Xie Jingya let out an indescribable sound. She was so embarrassed she wished she could crawl into a crack in the ground. But it felt really wonderful. Waves of heat surged through her body, as if bathing in warm sunlight, incredibly soothing. And she really didn't feel any more pain. But before she could fully enjoy it, she felt Su Mu stop. "Why did you stop?" Xie Jingya asked curiously. "The treatment is done," Su Mu said. "Aunt, your problem is just a minor ailment. A short massage can fix it." Xie Jingya felt a bit disappointed and wished Su Mu would continue. But after all, she was a woman and couldn't bring herself to ask. She could only get up from the bed, tidy her clothes, and ask, "Where did you learn this massage technique?" "It works really well. My master taught me." "What else can you do?" "I could do a lot, like fighting, treating illnesses, and hacking." "You even know hacking?" Xie Jingya was stunned and thought Su Mu was bragging. How could someone who doesn't even know what a smartphone is understand computers? "Of course I do," Su Mu said. "My master is the king of hackers, and I'm even better than her." "Ah." Xie Jingya chuckled lightly, not replying, and glanced at her phone. Seeing that Xia Yuqing still hadn't replied to her message, she rolled her eyes and said, "Since your massage skills are so good, can you give me another massage? I've been so busy lately that my head always feels dizzy and groggy." "That's cervical spondylosis," Su Mu said. "I could tell when I was massaging you just now. You have a mild case of it. It's probably related to your work. Having to bow your head to read documents all the time makes it easy to develop this condition. Let me massage you again, and then I'll write you a prescription. Later, just pay more attention, and you'll be fine." Su Mu asked Xie Jingya to lie face down on the bed and first massaged her cervical spine. Although he called it a massage, it was actually bone setting. Correct the dislocated bone in her cervical spine and then nourish it with spiritual energy. The bone setting was very painful. Even Xie Jingya was sweating cold from the pain. If she hadn't been biting hard on the pillow, she would have cried out. Su Mu also sensed this and comforted her with a smile. "Little aunt, just bear with it for a moment. It only hurts at the beginning, soon it will feel very comfortable." How could that be so misleading? Xie Jingya's face flushed red with shame. She buried her head in the pillow like an ostrich, not even daring to look at Su Mu. It was only because she knew Su Mu's character a little that she didn't treat him as a pervert and throw him out. But it really felt comfortable. After the pain subsided, Su Mu infused spiritual energy, and waves of warm energy nourished Xie Jingya's cervical spine, making her feel especially comfortable. And honestly, this kid's massage technique was really good. He was a rare talent. Coupled with his skills, Xie Jingya unexpectedly developed admiration for his talent. Couldn't help but ask, "Su Mu, what are your plans after breaking off the engagement?" "Plans?" Su Mu paused, then said with a smile, "What plans could I have? Just keep breaking off engagements. After I cancel all 9 marriage contracts, I'll go find Tang Yun and marry her." "Terminating those marriage contracts won't be easy," Xie Jingya said. "First, you need to track people down. You happen to bump into me in Jiangsheng City, so you can quickly find Yuqing. But what about Lu Shuyan? How do you plan to find her? Second, some of those contracts are quite old. To break them off, you have to exchange the contracts. Some parties might have already forgotten about them, so you might not even be able to locate them. Finally, I want to say that an engagement involves 2 people. If you want to call it off, what if the other side isn't willing? Look, in Jiangxing City, you only have 2 contracts, but even so, canceling all of them will definitely take a lot of time." Su Mu thought it over seriously, then nodded and said, "Auntie, now that you mention it, that's true. So what should I do? Maybe find a job first?" Xie Jingya suggested. "I noticed you only brought a backpack and basically no daily necessities. Staying in a hotel is fine for a short time, but it's not cost-effective long-term. Besides, you don't have any money. You can work while calling off the engagement. That's a good idea. Sumu's eyes lit up, but then he said dejectedly, but I don't have much education. Will anyone hire me? Why not? Xie Jingya said, you may not have education, but you have strong combat skills. With your skills, if you worked as a bodyguard for others, they'd be fighting over you. Then would you want me? Sumu asked. Of course I would. Xie Jingya laughed. The fish had finally taken a bait. There's been something going on at the company, and I've been worried about finding a suitable bodyguard. You filling this vacancy is just perfect. I'll give you a monthly salary of 8,000, plus social insurance and housing fund. Meals included, but not accommodation. How about that? No way. Under Xie Jingya's burning gaze, Sumu shook his head. Why? Xie Jingya asked in surprise. Sumu said, the salary is too low. What? Xie Jingya thought she had misheard. You see, in the Jiangcheng city market, ordinary bodyguards, that is security guards, only earn about 4,000 a month. I offered him 8,000 along with social insurance and housing fund, and he still thought it was too little. Really hasn't been knocked around by society yet. The pay is just too low. Sumu said, his face reddening. That meal with Wu Mengfei just now cost over 20,000. What the hell? Xie Jingya was stunned again. What did you eat? Steak, just steak. Xie Jingya was dumbfounded. That's not that expensive. Even in a nice restaurant, a steak is only a few hundred per serving. How did you two spend over 20,000? I ate 50 portions by myself. Xie Jingya gave Sumu a thorough once-over, not knowing what to say. He's a total foodie, and the key thing is he doesn't gain weight. If word got out, countless women would be green with envy. Xie Jingya could only sigh. Forget it. With your appetite, the Yafei group really can't afford to keep you on. You'd better find another way out. After saying this, Xie Jingya lay face down on the bed, obediently accepting Sumu's massage. At the same time, she secretly made up her mind. Even if Sumu was unwilling to break off the engagement, she would help Xia Yuqing do it. A man who eats this much could bankrupt the Xia family. Sumu didn't mind and continued massaging her. The massage not only treated her neck, but also soothed her meridians and relieved fatigue. Xie Jingya unknowingly fell asleep. Hearing her steady breathing, Sumu massaged for a while longer before stopping. But he somewhat regretted it. Now that she was asleep, who would take him to find Xia Yuqing? However, considering that she had let him into the car, brought him to Jiangcheng City, and promised to take him to Xia Yuqing, Sumu forgave her and sat on the bed watching over her. Just as Sumu was meditating, his phone rang. It was Xie Jingya's phone on the bedside table. Sumu could clearly see the name displayed on the screen. Yuqing. Yuqing? Xia Yuqing? Sumu felt a stir of excitement. But this is my aunt's phone. Answering it rashly would be an invasion of her privacy. Forget it. I'll just bear with it. After all, my aunt has already promised me. Once she wakes up, she should take me to find Xia Yuqing. No need to rush. But the phone kept ringing incessantly. Maybe I should pick it up? It's rung so many times. What if it's something urgent? As for privacy, Xie Jingya is my aunt, and Xia Yuqing is my fiancée, so I doubt they'd mind. Decided, Sumu grabbed the phone and answered it. Hello, aunt. I've been calling for so long. Why did you only pick up now? A voice like a lark song came from the other end, exceptionally clear and pleasant. Of course, Sumu didn't pay attention to that, and instead asked back, Are you Xia Yuqing? Where are you? I want to call off the engagement with you. Who are you? The person on the other end was clearly startled. Why do you have my aunt's phone? Where's my aunt? She's asleep, Sumu said. What did you say? The person on the other end exclaimed directly. You're actually sleeping with my aunt. Who on earth are you? Give the phone to my aunt immediately. Let her talk. She's sleeping soundly. I can't bear to wake her. Sumu said. And my name is Sumu, Xia Yuqing's fiancé. Are you Xia Yuqing? I am, Xia Yuqing admitted, but her voice was trembling. You're messing around with my aunt and still claim to be my fiancé? I don't have a fiancé like you. I'm calling off the engagement. That's great. I don't want to marry you either. Sumu laughed. Tell me where you are. I'll come find you right now and we'll cancel the engagement. Wah. Xia Yuqing was crying from anger. As the esteemed young lady of the Xia family and the famous campus belle of Jiangcheng University, every day she was surrounded by all kinds of men like stars around the moon. Who could have imagined she would now be dumped by her fiancé? And to make matters worse, that fiancé was messing around with her own aunt. Just thinking about it made Xia Yuqing's chest ache. Why are you crying? Su Mu asked, confused. Hurry up and give me the address so we can call off the engagement. At this, Xia Yuqing's cries grew even louder. Women are really troublesome. Su Mu muttered and hung up the phone directly. Hurry up and tell me the address. It's best we just break off the engagement. You're crying and sniffling. Are you trying to cling to me? Su Mu's face darkened. No tricks allowed. Either the engagement must be broken off. Taking a deep breath, Su Mu pushed these distracting thoughts aside and entered meditation again. About an hour later, Xie Jingya slowly woke up. She had slept very soundly, had no dreams, and felt completely refreshed upon waking. However, seeing Su Mu watching over her, her face immediately showed a look of guilt. She said apologetically, Su Mu, sorry. Your massage technique is so good that I fell asleep without realizing it. It's okay, Auntie. I can afford to wait for this little time, Su Mu said with a smile and a wave. Su Mu smiled and waved his hand. Then, remembering something, he said, Oh, by the way, Annie, Xia Yuqing just called your phone. I answered it. What? Xie Jingya was startled. You answered Yuqing's call? What did she say? She agreed to break off the engagement. Su Mu said, Anything else? Nothing else. Oh. Only then did Xie Jingya heave a huge sigh of relief. It seemed that Su Mu was right. They really did have a marriage contract. Since Yuqing agreed to break it off, it saved her the trouble of persuading her herself. Although Su Mu was excellent in many ways, he was a true country bumpkin, too naive. He was completely unworthy of Yuqing. Plus, he was a huge eater. Even with the Xia family's support, Yuqing's life with him probably wouldn't be comfortable. Now that she agreed to break off the engagement, they should hurry up and get it done to avoid complications later. After quickly washing up to clear her head and touching up her makeup, Xie Jingya took Su Mu to find Xia Yuqing. On the way, Su Mu learned from Xie Jingya that Xia Yuqing was still a student, and she was even the campus belle of Jiangxing University. This left Su Mu somewhat stunned. Aren't campus queens supposed to be pure and innocent? Why did Xia Yuqing sound so agitated and even furious like a shrew in that phone call just now, completely at odds with innocence? Could it be that the real campus queens are different from what he read in books? Why bother thinking about this? She agreed to call off the engagement, proving she's reasonable enough, which spares me a lot of trouble. After the engagement is broken, we'll go our separate ways. Whether Xia Yuqing is a campus queen or what her personality is like has absolutely nothing to do with me. Just then, Xie Jingya's phone rang. The phone was connected to the car, so Xie Jingya pressed a button on the steering wheel to answer it. Then Xie Qingyun's voice came through. Auntie, great news, great news. What great news? Xie Jingya frowned. She really looked down on this nephew of hers. He had no ability, yet always wanted to take over the Yafei group she had painstakingly built. And he was sweet-talking, which won the old man's favor. Xie Jingya would find it difficult to kick him out of Yafei group even if she wanted to. So today, when Su Mu broke his wrist, Xie Jingya felt not the slightest bit of sympathy, but rather a certain relief. I've already solved the company formula issue, Xie Qingyun said, as if seeking credit. Solved? That good for nothing. What could he possibly solve? He's probably been tricked again, 8 times out of 10. Xie Jingya said coldly. Qingyun, your wrist is broken. Just rest in the hospital. Don't worry about company matters. I'll find someone to take over your work. I've invited the divine Dr. Lin. Xie Qingyun, as if completely oblivious to the implication in Xie Jingya's words that she was kicking him out, remained extremely excited. What did you say? This time, it was Xie Jingya's turn to be shocked. You invited who? The divine Dr. Lin. Which divine Dr. Lin? Xie Qingyun said proudly. In our Jiangcheng city, besides Lin Ziyuan, who else deserves to be called divine Dr. Lin? Qingyun, isn't he on the opposite side from us? Xie Jingya was even more shocked. How did you get him to come over? Just friends helping out. Xie Qingyun laughed. Aunt, you'd better get back to the company quickly. Divine Dr. Lin's time is limited. Okay, I'll head back right now. Xie Jingya was also extremely excited. Lin Ziyuan is a master of traditional Chinese medicine, a true divine doctor. People seeking his medical advice are booked up to a month in advance. But isn't he the pharmacist for another beauty product company? She had approached him several times, but he refused to help. How did Xie Qingyun manage to get him to come out now? Forget it, I won't worry about that. As long as he's willing to come, it can alleviate the company's crisis. As for Su Mu, Xie Jingya didn't know how to handle him for a moment. Sumu was not naive. He smiled and said, Aunt, if you have things to do, go ahead and take care of them. I already know where Xia Yuqing is. I can take a taxi myself later. Thank you for understanding, Aunt. Xie Jingya said, feeling guilty. You have my number. If you run into any problems, just call me, and I promise to help you out. You've already helped me enough. No need to trouble you further. Sumu said, but you have a dark aura on your forehead. It's not a good sign. You should be more careful. Xie Jingya was noncommittal. Why had this guy turned into a fortune teller again? Last time, when he stopped the car, he told Wu Mengfei she would have a bloody disaster, but it never came true. Sumu didn't press the matter. As for the art of physiognomy, it's all about belief. If you don't believe, it's up to fate. After getting out of the car, Sumu was about to hail a taxi to Jiangxing University when he turned and saw a market nearby. The sign read, Duo Bao Garden. The master had once said that the reason he improved so quickly was because he frequented flea markets. Although there were many replicas there, occasionally real items could be found among them. And those genuine pieces often contained spiritual energy. He was only at the 6th level of qi refining. Having left Qingsong Mountain, in this mundane world with scarce spiritual energy, advancing his cultivation would be incredibly difficult. Now that he had come across the Duo Bao Garden, why not try his luck? What if he stumbled upon something valuable? As for calling off the engagement, there was no need to rush it. Having made up his mind, Su Mu slipped into the Duo Bao Garden.